David Newton and Nigel Jenkinson. David, you're a Canon professional guide, and Nigel, you're from Canon Cameras. We've been down in Glendalough for the day to mark the finale of an incredible week of taking photographs as part of the Canon road trip.
Indeed we have. We've been out this week travelling around Ireland celebrating 30 years of EOS. So 30 years of the EOS system, which launched in 1987. And we started in Dublin and we've moved our way around the country, eventually working our way back up this morning from Cork up here to Glendalough, where we've, as you said, had the finale with a big group of people, some of whom have been on shoots earlier in the week and some of whom came along just for today.
On that note, it created an incredible sense of community having this week. I found out from my local camera shop, Canon Cameras.
Yeah, I think between being like a local camera shop, you do get people who feel they're part of a group and a community where we try and look after your customers, and there's a few different things that we have in place to do that. And between Canon as well, because there's training when you buy a camera, which we can go through. We talk about that later on with the camera as well. So yeah, I mean, Facebook is a great way of kind of networking with your customers and getting questions asked, or coming in to ask questions to maybe make a potential purchase as well. So yeah, it's we try and look after the customer. They're the people at the end of the day, and I think they've all had a great day here between Canon as well with their week-long road trip has been very successful for them.
How was the week overall?
The week's been really interesting. It's been a very exciting week. We've had extremes of weather. Obviously we've got bright sun today here in Glendalough. But we went over to the cliffs of Moher and we had sunshine followed by 40 minutes of hailstones, followed by half an hour of rain, followed by sunshine. I mean, pretty much classic Irish weather, I guess, all 4 seasons in a day.
You've been showcasing the M5?
I have been showcasing the M5. So part of the plan of this trip, we've been celebrating the 30-year anniversary of the EOS system, but showcasing the fact that it is a system. And part of that system are these mirrorless cameras. So this is the M5, this is the kind of the flagship camera in the range. And in essence, it's basically an 80D, it's an 80D sensor just in a body that's about 50% the size. And people think that the mirrorless cameras like this are, maybe they're not that useful, maybe you can't do amazing things with them. And so by traveling around the country, by putting it through its paces in a whole variety of situations, we've gone from portrait/fashion shoots to landscapes at sunrise and sunset. It's obviously been out in all weathers. We've done some macro stuff, we've done some city street shooting, and it has performed all the way through to create really quite fantastic images. And people have been surprised at just how capable it actually is.
And we can check those out on the hashtag is Canon Road Trip.
Hashtag Canon Road Trip on Instagram and Facebook. You can find a whole bundle of pictures, and I'll be posting more over the coming days. And I've been using it with a whole variety of lenses. So one of the big advantages of the Canon system is it is exactly that, it's a system. So we've got the specific lenses for the mirrorless cameras. So the EF M lens is the M being denoting that they're for mirrorless. So here, for example, I've got the 28mm macro lens, which is really useful if you want to do the close-up stuff. But here in Glendalough, for example, you want to be thinking wide. So there's also an 11-22, which gives you the equivalent from a full-frame camera as about a 16-35. If you want a general purpose lens, you've got a 15-45 or an 18-55, and then there's the telephoto 55-200. But that's only talking about the mirrorless lenses.
Yes, there's an incredible little widget that we can use all the EF lenses as well.
There is, yes, and it's not a very expensive little widget as well, so it's a great way of adapting the whole EOS lenses onto the mirrorless camera. So for anybody who's coming from an EOS system but wants to buy the body and just use their existing lenses, that's another potential as well for them. So it's a kind of a great stepping stone. But I do think it's nice having the mirrorless body with their own mirrorless lenses, because it's designed to obviously try and keep the whole system nice and compact and great for travelling. And as David showed me some of the shots earlier on, you wouldn't think they were taken with a smaller kind of mirrorless camera like this. They really are up to the calibre of an SLR camera. So.
And when we talk about smaller cameras, that I started off taking photographs and making videos on my iPhone, and then I progressed on to an entry-level DLSR and also a mirrorless. What is the essential difference? Does it come down to sensor, and why should I care? Why should I upgrade?
So from the difference between phone and then mirrorless or DSLR is sensor size. I mean, if I take the lens up here, you can see the sensor. It's a reasonable size. In this case, it's what we call an APS-C sensor. So it has a 1.6 times crop compared to full frame. But if you were to compare that to the sensor of a smartphone sensor is probably about the size, if not smaller, of my fingernail. In fact, it's probably quite a bit smaller than my fingernail. And sensor size is really important in terms of your final image quality. So bigger sensors tend to give higher quality images because they're better in low light, they're better at capturing
yes, the
whatever light there
darkness
is.
thing, when we take a photo at night time with an iPhone, it's really fuzzy, and that's a huge thing. So how is it that it allows more light onto the sensor?
The pixels themselves are bigger.
Okay.
So each pixel can hold more light and therefore gain greater gradation in between shadows and highlights. And on top of that, the circuitry involved in processing the image when you capture it gets rid of a lot more noise. So we see in low light with a phone that you're going to get that kind of speckledy, almost like it's been covered in sand. When you move up to mirrorless with a large sensor like this or full frame, there is much less of that image noise, and the high ISO performance as you go up above 200, 400, 800, once you get up to sort of 3200, 6400 and higher, the images still look smooth. They don't look sort of grainy and covered in sand.
And all the more so with the full frame cameras.
Exactly.
How can I make a decision if well, I know how I made a decision. I came into cons and I got some incredible advice, but what advice would you have, Nigel, for somebody who's maybe comfortable now taking photographs on their cell phone?
I think people approach it from a few different ways. A lot of people will look up websites, try and get a sense of what might suit them. I think the best way also as well is to come into the store, chat to somebody. There's a vast knowledge within, say, a lot of the stores, and ours will be included within that. Between the compact and the SLR system, so we're there to try and help people make those choices. But a great service we found very popular is the renting of a camera, so try before you buy service, where somebody can try a camera or lens, put it through its paces, maybe use it like in an event like this, come down to Glendalough or a different venue and make sure it's the right item for them as well. And a great thing that Canon have done as well over the last number of years with their EOS and with the mirrorless is their half-day training that they give as well, which is part of their package when a customer buys a camera as well.
And how can we arrange that if we're purchasing a Canon? Is it through you guys?
Well, it's not actually true. Well, it'll be through a store like ours. It's actually provided by Canon themselves. Okay. So there's a voucher given to the customer where they just sign up and register their interest for the training online, and that's actually done in. I know it's done in Dublin City Centre, and they do the same down for the customer base in
Cork.
Cork.
Get your head around the device.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, to get people started off on the right foot and just not to be afraid to change some of these settings and dials as well. I think that's where there's a great experience like today's road trip has been during the week, is to show people can change these settings and have
You
fun.
mentioned system as well. Do you find that people are better understanding all the buttons as a result of coming on the course?
I think certainly when people come on a course, either the half-day course or a full-day course with me, they go away having learned something. I hope they go away having learned something.
I can certainly say I'm a huge amount. I think the
and
confidence that it gives you to try, or certainly the confidence it gave me to try different settings and then to get feedback and then to learn from it is a huge thing.
I mean, obviously any time that you can go through a piece of what is essentially complex technology with someone who actually knows how it works and what it does is always going to be a benefit. And as you
Absolutely.
say, when you buy a camera, Canon give you either a half day or a full day depending on what you bought and kind of where you're going with your photography.
The other really nice thing about it is that it's almost like a language, and it is a system that if I start off with a camera like this and I move on to a larger full frame camera, that it's exactly the same language. I'm not going to be at sea. I feel like I'm at home really with the equipment.
Yeah, I've seen that over the last few years, whereby the menu systems of the cameras have changed and evolved, and they have the one system. So as you say, if you progress up to the cameras, it's very native to you. So it's a lot easier, and it's very comforting for people as well. So they're not afraid to move up to the models.
No.
Yeah,
it's something that Canon are very good at. Actually, there is a strong family resemblance all the way through the range. So if you pick up any of the EOS DSLRs, the menus all look the same.
Yeah.
The settings are all in the same relative menus, and it's exactly the same in here. So when you go to the menu on this, if you've got a Canon DSLR already, your learning curve is tiny.
Yep.
Because it's exactly the same. And then the thing they do with their menus is they lay them out very clearly. So if you're coming up from not being in the Canon system, it's hopefully not too difficult to get your head around the things that you might be struggling to find.
Guys, thanks so much for your time. I think the biggest thing that I learned was that as part of the camera networks, because as a result of your Facebook page, I realised that this event was happening, that there are a lot of other photographers in Ireland and they're all at different levels, so there's definitely someone to find to go out there and to connect with and to take photographs with.
There's always someone to shoot with, always someone to learn from.
Yep.
So David, thanks so much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And Nigel, thanks as always for looking after me into cons as well. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Great.
Let's go eat cake.
Yeah, lovely.